podcasting's choice. From coast to coast, continent to continent, right here 24/7.
PNR.
This podcast is a proud member of the Lamb Podcasting Network. Find the network at largeassmovieblogs.com.
Spanning the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe, this is Subject Cinema's Avengers Endgame MCU Countdown.
Oh, things are not looking good.
No.
In the Avengers universe.
Stuff's gotten serious.
It's getting real serious. The sun's getting real low, big guy. Oh, no, he's not in this, is he?
No. That better not have been directed at me, or I am going to get angry.
No. No, of course not. I would never do that to you. I don't deprogram you with phrases.
No.
I just tickle you to death. Welcome to Subject Cinema's Avengers Endgame MCU Countdown. I'm TC Kirkham.
I am a severely embarrassed Kim Brown. Good grief.
Well, we can't share it with family. Who can we share it with?
Nobody.
Oh, okay.
How about that? How about nobody?
It is April 18th, Thursday on the calendar, and we are counting down the days until Avengers Endgame arrives. We are just getting close to a week here.
Yeah.
And it is a crazy day because this is the movie that caused the giant split in the Avengers.
We already saw the cracks forming, in Avengers Age of Ultron. This is the movie where the cracks turned into chasms. This was also the first time we ever did something that we've always heard about, and we were always like, man, we should really try that.
We did a marathon
and
with this.
year, that year we were like, by heaven, we're gonna do it.
From 8 in the morning until 11 at night, we were at Showcase Cinemas watching 7?
We
Avengers
saw,
movies?
I'm trying to think of how it went. We saw Captain America, the First Avenger, The Avengers, Captain America, the Winter Soldier, Age of Ultron, and Civil War. So 5.
5.
Yeah.
With
like maybe a 15-minute break between movies.
There was a longer break between the last two. There was like an hour for like people to get food and stuff.
Yeah.
Between Winter Soldier and Avengers, and then again between Avengers and Civil War. I still missed the first 3 minutes of Civil War because I was.
I mean, we'd actually done something like that before when we did the
Lord of the Rings
thing,
extended version.
Yeah.
Well, at least that was something, and we could nap there.
We're nerds, yay!
Well, I'm not doing the 22 movie thing they're doing next week.
No, that's because we're not masochists.
I also going to say that I'm going to have a few things to talk about at the end of this because I was not terribly kind to this film when we reviewed it.
Nope.
Because it really pissed me off.
Yep, I can attest to that because I was sitting because we've mentioned this before. We can, and I know some people are like, you guys are a bunch of hippy dippy weirdos, but we feel each other's vibes. Yeah. We can tell when we can be in a dark room and tell when the other person's angry or happy or upset or something like that. So we're watching the movie and I'm like sending out little psychic feelers to feel what he's feeling, and all I'm getting back is grrr, and that's basically all I heard through the whole movie, and I'm going, oh boy.
This movie is referred to by some fans as Avengers 2.5 because everybody is in it except Thor and the Hulk.
And the Hulk, yeah.
It also introduces Black Panther,
yes,
played by Chadwick Boseman,
yes,
and we see everybody else.
And your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
And Spider-Man also makes his debut in the MCU universe here. Tom Holland playing the character for the first time. He did it here before he did it in Homecoming.
Oh.
So,
all right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, he was introduced in Civil War. So, and that was another thing that got under my skin. We'll talk more about that in a minute. But in any case, everybody's here. Chris Evans, Robert Downey Jr., Chadwick Boseman, Scarlett Johansson. Who am I leaving out? Elizabeth Olsen, Paul Bettany, Paul Rudd, Jeremy Renner, Tom Holland, and I know I'm forgetting 2 or 3 people, and I'm sorry. They're just all here.
Sebastian Stan.
Sebastian Stan, yeah, and a few other people.
Well, you mentioned Elizabeth Olsen, but Aaron Taylor Johnson's obviously not in this.
Yeah, fine.
Anyway,
she's
coming.
just rubbing it. Shut up. She's just rubbing that in. Going back to Subject Cinema number 520 on May 15th, 2016. This is Captain America: Civil War.
His job. We try to save as many people as we can. Sometimes that doesn't mean everybody. But you don't give up. New York. Washington, D.C. Sokovia. Okay, that's enough. Captain, people are afraid. That's why I'm here.
It is the first movie of the 4th cycle of Marvel's films.
I think so. That's right.
Whatever it takes, I'm game.
And it is a all-star event, even though there's only one
I can't ignore it.
Avenger listed.
Sometimes I
There's
wish
still a lot more people in it.
Sometimes I want to punch you in your perfect.
Chris Evans as Captain America, Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, and a whole bunch of other Avengers in Captain America: Civil War. Give us the rundown.
We begin in the 90s when the Winter Soldier is being programmed for a task that involves leaving no survivors, and it involves a car crash and a murder and stealing of some packets which look like they hold drugs. We come forward a little into now, and Tony Stark at MIT being approached by a woman who lost her son in the Sokovia mess, which was in Avengers Age of Ultron, and Tony still reeling from the guilt that he feels over the fact that he created Ultron and everything that went wrong therein. In a raid in South America, where the raid happens with Cap and
I'm not sure.
a raid on trying to stop some people some bad guys from stealing.
It's Lagos. That's Africa.
Lagos. I'm sorry. In Lagos, Africa, goes wrong, and civilians wind up being injured. The governments and killed. The governments of the world wind up saying, "Okay, we've had enough of this," and that brings about the Sokovia Accords. The Sokovia Accords are basically the government saying, we want to have control over when superheroes feel like they need to go in and save the day. We want to be the ones to make the decisions about when people can use their superpowers. Because they do such a good job with armies and stuff like that anyway. Certain people are all for signing up for this accord, and those people would include Iron Man. Certain other people are like, we're giving up our freedoms and this is not what we're about, and those people would include Steve Rogers, aka Captain America. When things start to go really wrong and the Winter Soldier is blamed for a hideous terrorist attack, Steve Rogers goes in pursuit of his friend Bucky Barnes, who was the Winter Soldier and who is now trying to piece his life together, as the rest of the world closes in on him as a wanted felon. And things from there get progressively worse and more crazy as more people get involved.
That's it?
That's it.
With Chris Evans as Captain America, Steve Rogers, Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark, a.k.a. Iron Man, Scarlett Johansson as Natasha Romanoff, the Scarlet Witch, the Black Widow, sorry. I was looking further down the page. Sebastian Stan as Bucky Barnes, Winter Soldier. Anthony Mackie as Sam Wilson, Falcon. Don Cheadle as Rhodey Rhodes, War Machine. Jeremy Renner as Hawkeye, Clint Barton. Chadwick Boseman making his debut as Black Panther, T'Challa, the Prince of Wakanda. Paul Bettany as Vision. Elizabeth Olsen as Wanda, the Scarlet Witch. Paul Rudd as Ant-Man, Scott Lang. Emily Van Camp recreating her role from Winter Soldier as Sharon Carter, the niece of Peggy Carter, who is Captain America's first love. Frank Grillo as Crossbones, a.k.a. Brock Rumlow. William Hurt back as now Secretary of State Thunderbolt Ross, who was in The Incredible Hulk a few years ago. Daniel Bruhl as Helmut Zero, a man who is Zemo, sorry. The main protagonist, even though he's not. And a cameo appearance by Tom Holland as Peter Parker, a.k.a. Spider-Man, also including, also featuring appearances by Marissa Tomei, Hope Davis, John Canny, and a number of other people, and Alfre Woodard as Mariah Dillard. She plays Mariah Dillard in the upcoming series Luke Cage, but appears here as Miriam Sharp, the mother of an American citizen killed in the Battle of Sokovia. So, what did you think?
Damn. By the end of this movie, my soul was vibrating like a bell that had been struck. I thought this was powerful. I thought it was compelling. I thought it raised interesting questions about responsibility and collateral damage. I thought the cast was great. I had a couple of storyline issues. My biggest storyline issue is who in their right friggin' mind thought making Thaddeus Ross Secretary of the State was a good idea. This guy is a dick. This guy has had a
Watch your mouth. Honestly. Family show.
Guy is a major asshat. Is that better? Apparently not.
Okay.
Who's had a major hard-on to get Bruce Banner for years.
Bruce, who is missing from this movie, as is Thor.
Yeah.
They're the only Avengers that aren't in this film.
No. I have to be perfectly honest and say that when people started saying, which side are you on and stuff like that, that I said that I was on Team Cap. By the end of this film, I am still on Team Cap, but I understand the other side of things. But I'm still on Team Cap. There's a revelation in this film that once you realize where it's going, I literally was like,
has to do with that aforementioned murder at the very beginning.
Yeah, I literally, it like sucked in all of my breath. I was like, oh no, please don't tell me we are going there. Holy snit. I thought it was great. That's not perfect, but I thought it was terrific. What did you think?
Oh, it's a long way from perfect. There are a lot of problems with this film. I love the first two Captain America films. This one, not so much. And the reason is there's too damn many people involved with this. This is a Captain America movie. We do not need 8 or 9 other heroes just as fodder for. And I mean, let's be honest. Ant-Man and Spider-Man appear in one battle scene. That's it.
I know, but it's very cool.
That's it. I think it was a mistake to bring Peter Parker into this film. Everybody has been raving about the idea of Spider-Man being a part of the Avengers, and that's fine. But they should have waited till after the solo film. It didn't work for me at all. I'm just really thinking that character version of Peter is not the one that I'm used to, because I'm not a comics fan and I like Tobey Maguire's version of the character. So it's a little hard for me to wrap myself around snarky ass Peter Parker as played by Tom Holland. I don't know. Another thing, why were the following people in this film? Ant-Man, Vision, Hawkeye, Iron Soldier,
War Machine.
Why Scarlet Witch? Why are they even in this film? There's no real purpose for them to be in this film, other than to set up the whole story. This is not a Captain America movie. It's an Avengers movie. Everybody said, oh no, it's not an Avengers movie. It's a Captain America. No. There's too much Iron Man and not enough relationship between Cap and Bucky. This whole movie is supposed to be Cap is doing this not only because he doesn't like the way the government is trying to tell him what to do, which is not the way he's used to operating, but he's doing this because of Bucky's involvement, because Zemo's manifestations have gotten Bucky blamed for the terrorist attack, and Bucky was nowhere near there at the time. And Cap knows that. This is supposed to be about the friendship between Cap and Bucky and their connection to Sam. There's reason for Sam Wilson to be here. There's reason for Iron Man to be here, and there's reason for the I did it again, for Black Widow to be here. The rest of the heroes, we don't even need them. Why are they here? It would have been so much better if they kept it small like they did in Winter Soldier and worked it that way. Overall, and this movie also did one other thing that has me questioning Marvel's entire plan now. And I have to say this up front. Part of the reason the Avengers works, and that's all the solo movies as well as the Avengers as a whole, part of the reason that they work is because Tony Stark is such a self-centered, egomaniacal, self-involved person. Genius billionaire philanthropist, inventor.
Genius billionaire playboy philanthropist.
Thank you. That's part of his charm.
Yeah.
And every bit of charm he's had in the previous movies gets totally destroyed by the end of this film. I am not liking Tony Stark at all by the end of this film. I don't know if I want to see him in any other film again, at all. I don't like the way he turned on people who didn't necessarily agree with his way of thinking. And I can't see him agreeing with Ross's way of thinking because they don't like each other, and that was evident at the end of The Incredible Hulk.
No.
So it's like, what in the world? I think they've driven a chink into the Marvel universe that may not be fixable.
I hope you're wrong.
I don't know. Honest to God, there are good parts here. I got to say, there are fun parts. There's some great comedy with Sam Wilson and Bucky, unintentional, in 2 or 3 scenes that are hysterically funny. There are a couple of other things going on between the three of them, Cap and Bucky and Sam, that are really good. And there are other parts, including the whole rapport that they're developing, rapport they're developing between Tony Stark and Peter Parker, which would have been better left for the Spider-Man movie next year. But for the most part, it didn't work.
Okay.
What's your score?
I gave it an A-.
That's good. I actually think Batman vs. Superman was a better film. And you said the same thing. Is that true?
I was more emotionally invested in Batman vs. Superman.
Really?
Well,
yeah, you're a Bat fan.
Well, this movie didn't have me in tears like Batman vs. Superman. That movie had me bawling.
Yeah.
I mean,
I may change my mind, and I'll be honest about that when I see it a second time, and I do have freebies here that we're going to go see it a second time, because I'd like to see it without having, because I think my view may have been somewhat tainted by the fact that I liked all the 4 films before it very much. Well, 3 of them in Age of Ultron. And then this one. But as it stands right now, there are a lot of problems, and they've opened up cans of worms in this film that they probably would have been best leaving shut. Perhaps Stephen Strange will be able to close those cans of worms in November when Doctor Strange, the next movie in the theory, comes out. Maybe Benedict Cumberbatch and his little doctor can come up with something to shut Tony's tin can for good and move that suit from Tony to Harley like they've been planning, because that I have reason to suspect that's why at the end of this movie we're kind of left. And Robert Downey Jr. said in an interview that he thought there was still some life left in Tony. I don't agree with that. I think it was a mistake to do what they did. If you're a big fan of the Avengers universe, there's nothing that's going to keep you from seeing this, and you'll probably enjoy it. But there were so many flaws here and things that I think they could have done better that I don't know. I liked it. Don't get me wrong. I did like it. I'm doing my Len Bob Krabby Pants imitation. I liked it, but there were a lot of things wrong, and I am hoping they will have a chance to fix them before Infinity War comes out in 2 years. I give Captain America: Civil War a B-. We forgot Don Cheadle on the cast list.
Yeah, sorry, Don.
Yeah. I was not happy with this film when it was first out. I liked it, but it was on the lower end. I just felt that they were pushing the hard stuff too hard, too fast, and I thought that they were a little loose and fast with a few other things. But I've seen it twice since then, and my assessment of it has come up.
Oh, that's good.
Once I saw it again, I always liked it. Oh, we forgot Martin Freeman too.
Oh, we did. Sorry, Martin.
Yeah. There's so many people in this movie.
There are.
It's a great movie, and it does set up the rest of where we're headed. But to me, Tony and Steve are the heart of the Avengers films, and I think they went a little too far in turning Tony into an absolute despicable scumbag throughout most of this film. And I said that at the time. I just didn't. I mean, I understand that he has the right reasons in mind in his head. The problem is he refuses to listen to the logic that Cap has.
Yeah.
And that sets up the entire thing, and it destroys lives.
Yeah. See, the thing is, Tony has the best intentions with what agreed.
Yes, but where does that pave the road to?
Yes, that's my point.
Yeah.
See, the thing that I found so interesting about this film that I really liked, just as a big old middle finger to all the whiners out there, was the fact that when they had the big climactic fight between Team Tony and Team Cap, it was at a deserted airport.
Yeah.
So that slammed the brakes on all the upcoming whining, bitching, moaning, kvetching, and everything
Collateral
else.
damage.
Oh, there's so much property damage in these movies. Don't they think about these things?
Well, Tony Stark.
No!
Tony Stark, there's actually stuff in the Avengers universe where he pays for all this stuff. He can afford to.
It's like all these people who... I've actually heard people whine about Godzilla movies and my kaiju movies. Oh, there's so much collateral damage, blah, blah, blah. You know what?
The Japanese whining about that.
You know what? Screw you. Let me watch my...
Godzilla's a whole other thing. We'll talk about that later.
And, I feel the same with this movie. To all of those people, screw you. Let me watch my ultra-violence and leave me alone.
It was worse around Man of Steel than anything else. I mean, it didn't really get that much, and Batman vs. Superman. We didn't really get it from this, from Age of Ultron as much as we could have. Because it's a fake country. It wasn't set in New York.
The thing with Man of Steel is,
oh God, we're getting into DC versus Marvel. Look out!
The one thing that could have shut all the whiners up when it came to Man of Steel would have been Superman grabbing Zod and throwing him as far into the Antarctic as possible so they could go fight there. But then, of course, you'd have people whining about the ice caps and stuff like that. So, there's some people...
They're melting the polar ice caps with their heat vision. No!
Where?
Anyway.
But anyway, getting back to this movie.
Yeah. The other thing that bothered me about this movie was the introduction of Spider-Man. Tom Holland's Spider-Man has grown on me. I've never been that huge of a fan of that character. And, I've seen the different iterations. Tobey Maguire was the best as far as I'm concerned so far. And leaps and bounds above the previous version, which was Nicholas Hammond. And, Andrew Garfield did okay.
I liked Andrew Garfield because he had the sass.
Yeah, see, you say he has that. I've never seen that. That's in more recent comics. When I was reading them, he was, oh, poor me, oh God, what am I going to do?
Yeah, but
responsibility is so much. So I'm not used to this smart aleck, basic, honest, real teenager being Spider-Man. It's taken me a while to get there. In this movie, it was so jarring, I just couldn't take it. Now, seeing it again, it was fine. I needed to get into it. Of course, by that point, I already knew he was going to be dusted. Anyway, for a while at least.
You son of a...
Lent. Anyway,
cucumber.
I will upgrade my grade on this to A minus. From, I think I gave it a B minus on the review. I didn't actually listen to it, but I know that I'm going to do the same thing we talk about Infinity War. There's a lot of stuff in this movie, once you see it once and it starts to roll around in your head, that you realize maybe I was a little too rough on it, and I was. So I take it back. In that review you just heard, I was kind of tough on it, and I admit it, and I think I was wrong.
Well, we're both the type of people that if we see a movie again and we feel like we've changed our minds about it, we're both.
Oh yeah, I just wanted.
We're both honest enough with our listeners to admit, hey, I've changed my mind. I was that way.
Changed my mind about Guardians of the Galaxy.
I was that way about Cloverfield. You're this way about Civil War. Yeah. I'd just like to say that I think Tom Holland's Spider-Man is adorkable. And
you're more interested in watching Sebastian Stan.
Guilty. Woman needs, don't judge.
Right.
I have to be honest, this movie shook me. I walked out of the movie, I walked into this thing, well, when we saw it the first time. No, not, when we walked in, we weren't exhausted, we were all psyched.
Oh yeah, that morning, I'm thinking when we walked into this one, we were like, oh God, let's get it over with.
I walked out of this movie, I was shook. I was really shook by the revelation at the end of the film. Yeah. Because up till that point, I was all like, yeah, I'm totally Team Cap. Tony's being a jerk, blah, 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 and all this. And by the end of it, I was like, by the end of it, I have to harken back to my other love besides movies and supernatural. My other love being music and books and things. But my love of music, there is a song that always resonates with me when the bad times come, and it's Guns N' Roses' Civil War. And there's a line at the end of the song, it's a spoken line, where Axl says, what's so civil about war anyway?
Right, yeah.
And nothing proves that more than this movie.
Right.
Because you feel like nobody won this.
Yeah.
All you had were a bunch of people who lost friends, who lost trust, who lost faith.
I know, that's what I don't like downer ending movies usually, so. And this very much.
Oh, you must have been a laugh and a half after Empire Strikes Back.
I saw it on cable. I didn't see it at the theater. Although I handled the stuff from the Hunger Games well, I thought.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Tomorrow, we're going to sit and listen to Kim pant a lot. I'm sure.
What if Kim wants to slacks a lot?
All right, well, you can slack a lot, too. You usually do, but not yesterday. You actually got a lot of work done. She's going to be too interested trying to purchase a cape. Anyway, tomorrow on Subject Cinema's MCU Countdown, Avengers Endgame MCU Countdown, we will go back into the next film in the series, Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange. Why isn't he Dr. Weird? Or Dr. Fantastic? Why is he Dr. Strange?
They've already got a Fantastic.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, his name isn't Fantastic. This guy's name is Strange.
Dr. Weird sounds like some kind of, sexually deviant villain or something.
Okay. All right. So tomorrow, we'll be here for Doctor Strange. Until then, for the MCU Countdown, I'm TC Kirkham.
I'm Kim Brown.
We will see you then.
Open your third eye.
Ew.
This podcast is a proud member of the Lamb Podcasting Network. Find the network at largeassmovieblogs.com.
Podcasting's choice. From coast to coast, continent to continent, right here 24/7.